mutant heat!
Sakes alive! Are you real? My mind is turning with illusions. The spiders, it couldn't have been, could it? My companions, is it too late? There's cobwebs behind my eyes, coming out of my ears. Am I mad? No, impossible. I am clearer now than I have been in days. Of that much I am certain. The Spider Queen. It was she who poisoned us. She who would see her spawn gnaw off our limbs while we cried tears of thankful devotion. Yes, I can nearly remember. We are travellers, you see. Traders and merchants, ever en route from village to town. We'd heard these dusty plains would find us face to face with goblins, but this deterred us not. But the high winds proved too great for travel, and so we made an early camp that first night. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, the plains grew still, hauntingly still. We felt it in our stomachs, the unreality of it. Suddenly, as though she had appeared in a thunderclap, she was there among us, and none so much as fathomed the word escape before she'd stung us. But we did not die, no. Her bite was not a poison of death, but of dreams. Within minutes, each of us had succumbed. Hail to the Queen! The refrain sounded over and over, first in our minds, then from our very mouths. You mean they live? Praise be! But could they not be compelled to leave? As the Spider Queen's poison despoiled their very minds? Oh, for shame, for sorrow. We'll have none of that, you hear? That's enough of that now! Hey, stop that!
Hot under the collar! I'm overheating here!
Baking like a cake. Oh,
potent heat.
I assume you address. And so let the hot.
I'm overheating here! Sakes alive! Hey, there's no. Yes, but the high wind suddenly, within minutes. You mean that?
From the tiniest spark.
That's enough of that now!
Well, I was really hoping to find something better.
wait for me!
Wargraf seemed to have spotted something, but then signals never to mind.
Gadasha the Bountiful be praised that we have made it out of that hell-sent sandstorm. The hour grows so very late, so very quickly. Pace-slowing impediments such as these will be the death of us should they persist. I've told you parts of the saga that is my life, Hunter, but I have yet to divulge the true reasons for my haste. Perhaps, at long last, I had better do so. So I shall. Once upon a time, I was a king in a land of beauty to the east. A land of tigers and slender towers, of deserts and forests, of sun and all the world's wealth. I was a young king, handsome and all-powerful. Every nobleman would have killed his own brother if I promised to take his daughter's hand in marriage. But I refused their incessant implorations. I knew my life as a sovereign would be self-indulgent, but also a self-delusory one, if I weren't to marry for love. And so a handful of years went by. The king's throne I myself occupied, whereas the queen's throne remained empty but for the court's cats that would nap the afternoons away upon its velvet cushions. But then one day, a young woman visited my kingdom. She was a poetess and a storyteller. People flocked to her, listened to her every word as if receiving mantras from the divines. I invited her to my palace, and soon our days, our nights, our love and our lives intertwined. Hiraka. How I miss her still. Miss the brilliance of her mind that was both as sparkling and as unbreakable as the diamonds that adorned her body. Oh, and how I miss her body. 1,000 artists I could have commanded, show me beauty. But she would have effortlessly surpassed their every endeavor, and curving her lips into a smile, make them break their sculptures in tearful impotence. And yet, true happiness, that commodity more precious and even more fleeting than the dominion of kings, sang to us like the nightingale, only to depart come the dawn of our first year's unity. A malady overtook me, and I began to wither. It was an unparalleled horror. Scores of physicians flocked to my bedside. They traveled from realms across the seas, hoping to cure the mighty Jehan, undo the gloom that had befallen the land, and mere vultures that they were, to be paid handsomely for their efforts. But none of their potions took effect. Their salves seared, but did not soothe my fading flesh. Like a ghoul I looked, unburied yet risen from the grave. In futile anger I struck my mirror, but broke my brittle fingers only, not its ever-mocking surface. It went like this, Hunter. If a ghoul I had become, so a dark turn of thought convinced me, a ghoul's methods I should employ to escape the labyrinthian crypt of corporeal corruption. A necromancer I'd be. Yes, only from deep within the deliriums of death would I tunnel my way back into the gardens of life. I did unspeakable things in the dusky dungeons that twist like forgotten veins to long-deceased organs far beneath my castle's sunlit halls. Halls which held my throne and held the bed upon which Hiraka slept. her very touch blessing the satin she reposed upon. Still there came no relief. Perversions I created in scores, but they were mere undead all. Creatures so piteous that the thought of cheating death in their guise frightened me more than the swing of the scythe itself. Like mosquitoes in the night, panic and despair beset me until I turned to that darkest of all arts, demonology. It had to be. There was no other way. I could feel the life slipping out of me like love out of a betrayed spouse's heart. So I studied tomes so old the dust that fell from their centuries' unperused pages never knew the light of the stars that now shine. I drew forbidden symbols. I spoke unhallowed words, and from the smoke that rose like a dragon's last breath, a demon appeared to me and said, "Ask, O blighted king, and you shall have." "Just tell me," I cried, "tell me what ails me." Hiraka. Never had I known a single word can cut deeper than the sharpest of daggers. With maddening glee, the demon told me she was one of his kin, a soul-swallowing horror that had been feeding on both my body and my spirit like a leech. An ancient being was she, that moved from king to king throughout the ages, filling their hearts with love, then draining them of life. After such revelations, does one truly desire to live on? Death seemed like a mother then, welcoming me with her all will be well embrace. Yet still I feared exceedingly her seemingly sweet caress, and the oblivion that would follow. Release me from her, demon, and give me back the strength of a sick, free existence. So went my desperate plea. It smiled, of course it did. Smiled bare 100 razors as its eyes came alight with infernal fire. 1,000 years I will give you, it whispered. But then your soul shall be mine to incarcerate in the depths of hellish nemesis. As for your throne, that I'll have now. What I did, yes, I hissed, fool that I was. I should have died that day, but instead I fell into a stupor and awoke in a different realm of Rivellon, bereft of all my wealth, and with my soul betrothed to a demon's debauchery that would be 10 centuries in the making. But it had also kept its promise, that life-seeding obscenity of a creature, for I was my young, my healthy self again. And yet my bodily convalescence merely betrayed my utter mental degradation. A necromancer and a demonologist I had become, a lowly conjurer of atrocities whose every heartbeat screamed Hiraka and pumped the bitterest of biles through my being. Like a savage I lived in the wilds, a companion of beasts, not man. It was there that I learned to love them so, the animals of this world. These gentle beings that don't know the meaning of betrayal or greed, that kill but to feed, not because it brings them wealth or pleasure. In time, resolve settled within my soul, despite being so irrevocably besieged by dissolution. I decided that I wouldn't accept the shackling of my being so easily. 1,000 years the demon had given me, and 1,000 years I dedicate to pitting my knowledge of demonology against its eponymous creatures. Yes, it is my resolve to kill the thing I summoned, and I have been stalking it for well over 9 centuries. I, hunter, I am nearly 1,000 years old. 25 of them a king, the rest a restless predator. Balberith is the demon's name. If I don't find and slay him before the year is out, my soul will be his to torture eternally. Either I fail and suffer for all time, or I win and life everlasting will be mine. That is a good question. As for Hiraka, I don't know what happened to her. I have seen my erstwhile palace from afar, a ruin now, a house of wind and dust. Beyond a doubt she moved on and lies, as we speak, in the arms of another king, assuring him he's only a bit under the weather, that his humours will be in balance again within a matter of days. Poor man. Like all men, he's a fool. Oh, but how I long to be wise. There has to be a first, hasn't there? If I can look her in the eye and denounce her, that shall be a start. But perhaps that day will never come. Born a fool and buried a fool. Perhaps that is simply how it must be. Of course you do. And so let the hunt continue.
What a life it is that Jehan has led, like listening to a great tragedy. A tragedy that is about to come to an end.
To an end, yes. A tragedy no longer. There's time yet to slay that demon and save Jehan.
Indeed. Balberith be damned. Jehan has source hunters by his side now.
My goblins, gather round your totem. At last it him! Oh, bless you for coming to Frederick's aid. He's been attacked, turned upon by his imp slave, cast down this hillside like an aged parent of a cragged sea cliff, left to be devoured by arachnid monstrosities. Who Frederick is unimportant. He is naught but a cog in the machinery of the greater good. But since you asked, since you cannot bear to remain unknowing of this person, Frederick will tell you this. He is a devotee to the goddess, to the Church of the Immaculates, to liberty, destiny, justice, and beauty, to scholasticism, mysticism, aphorism, nepotism, neologism, disestablishmentarianism, and the undead right to life. Frederick finds himself wary of it, to be quite honest. Don't look so surprised. Imps have a long history of compulsory service to the superior races of Rivellon. Frederick would be a fool to refuse the services of the realm's finest bloodstone-sniffing beast on moralistic grounds, no matter how humane or well-reasoned. A valuable artifact, precious like the silence in a house newly emptied of a visiting mother-in-law. It is able to heal even the gravest wounds, and it is a key component of the Immaculate Faith. The Bloodstone? Give it here, come! Frederick wants to march back to the Immaculate Temple on 2 strong legs.
Let's give him the stone. That leg of his is in bad shape.
It certainly is. Luckily, we were here to help him out.
Ah, Bloodstone. Goddess's chosen mineral, and the cause of and solution to Frederick's current trial. Frederick thanks you, stranger, though now he must go show that imp the force of his righteous fury. Oh, and why should I? That little mongrel tried to kill Frederick. Ah, Frederick will either have committed himself to the deep.
As powerful as it is sinister.
Wolfram eyes the freshly healed Frederick with unmitigated revulsion.
Healed.
No doubt,
And
he
he
would
does
expect his
it.
power to Bloodstone and
Enslaved.
But
You'd have rather let this man suffer, Wolfram? I didn't
Only
think you
a
capable
heart
of cruelty.
black
It's good to
sanctify
know
the
you
gift
are.
of the goddess. Prepare to meet your demise.